Hey, good morning, shelter. It's 6 a.m., so you know what that means? It's our daily 6 at 6. Now, yesterday we talked about sensitivity, and more importantly, we used the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego as a way to kind of give us a response to always knowing what it's right. And so today I kind of wanted to jump off over that a little bit more, but I wanted to focus on a kingdom, and not necessarily the kingdom of heaven, but the animal kingdom. Now, we've talked about all these different things with Miss Gren. More importantly, we're looking at things that make something living. And I don't think there is a more beautiful example than you looking at the different animals that God's ended up creating. And most importantly, it's just realizing now in this wonderful age that we're in, we're not limited to the animals that live in our geographical region. I mean, we can literally go to the Phoenix Zoo over here and see animals from all over the world. And so the beauty of what God's created, what God has allowed to survive this planet, is what we can aspire to. And just realizing that there is uniqueness to every single species of animal that is on this planet. And more importantly, when we're talking about is it living, we're talking about sense. And more importantly, how they respond. And you can look at different animals from like a chameleon, for example, that responds to the environment that it's living in by literally altering its colors so it can fit into the background so that predators and prey don't see it coming. And then you have other animals, that are able to survive extreme temperatures, surviving the extreme heat, like a lizard. And then you've got animals that, can do the exact opposite in surviving in extreme colds, like polar bears. And then you have animals that are designed to basically survive everything. Well, it's an insect, but, the cockroach. And so when we look at all of these different things that God's ended up creating, we have to ask the questions of purpose. And you can't look at a lizard and then immediately try and throw a lizard that's meant to survive in the desert and then expect it to survive in Antarctica. See, when God's talking about sense, it's about response, an appropriate response. And sometimes God's given us these unique abilities, spiritual traits. We can go into the Beatitudes. We can talk about various things. But to literally judge one over the other and say one is better than the other is a false narrative that we really need to be conscious of when we're looking about people. In James chapter 2, verses 2 through 4, he actually says something very similar to this. When somebody comes into church or to synagogue, wearing fine gold and having the rings and everything like that, it's like, don't put that man above the poor individual who walks in. And if we do that, we basically look at the outer clothes of somebody and not really judge the person for simply being a person. We've missed the mark of Christ because God came and basically delivered this whole new series which says, don't be the judge. Let the Father be the judge. And so we have to reevaluate how we sense different people's presence in our own lives. Not to judge too quickly, not to assert somebody over here or put somebody over there. Just like the animal kingdom, we can't put human beings in the exact same box because somebody's talents may not lie in something else. I know I've gotten jealous over the years working with different people because their skill set is something I don't have. But I've done it wrong. And I had to look into myself, and I want you to look into yourself and say, God, what are the things that you've really designed me to respond appropriately to? I said it yesterday that this one right here is the hardest one for me. And I've read books and this and that. John Maxwell is one of my favorites, and he's just like, hey, we got to concentrate less on our weaknesses and more on our strengths. I'm not the most sensitive person, but you know what? I've asked God while I've looked into this to help me respond. I may not be the most sensitive, you can come to me and cry and I'll give you like an actual straight answer and you'll be like, wow, that was really insensitive. That's me. But I also know that the heart of some of the things that I do is very different, that someone else will be like, oh, I could never do that. And so we can't judge what God has made us sensitive two. And we can't put each other's in different things because, we can't look at one and be like, oh my God, the peacock is so beautiful. And then when we look at a pigeon and go this, God's design and purpose is for all of it to come together to work for his good and his glory. And I want you guys to be encouraged by this because there's so many things that I know over this COVID-19 period of time where we've looked at ourselves and go, oh, I'm just not good enough at this, or I'm not looking like this, or I don't have this skills, or I don't respond this way. Truly introspect in your own heart and figure out what ways makes you unique. You never judge an elephant by the way that it swims because it's just not its purpose. Guys, I love you so much. I hope you have a great rest of the week, and I cannot wait to be present with you on June 7th. Love you guys. We'll see you then.